Excellent. Good afternoon, everybody. It looks like we have quorum. We're supposed to be streaming live, but unfortunately there's technical difficulties. So we will drop the recording into Facebook after this meeting, okay? I just wanted to let everybody know. Keith, I will turn it over to you to actually open the meeting. The board meeting.
Good afternoon. I appreciate it. I'm actually here at the office. I thought some of us could get together, but we can't. But it worked out really well. Hope everyone is doing well. So I want to start off by having everyone review the community action promise briefly, if you could. All righty. Hopefully everyone has read through that and centered at this point. If we could move on to the approval of the minutes from the December meeting. Hope everybody's had an opportunity to review that. I'll give you guys a few minutes. If you have, I'll start taking a motion to approve the minutes. Seconds.
Jeffrey, we can't hear you if you're making a motion. Still can't hear you.
As the other Jeff, I will make the motion.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
I can second. It's Jackie Sands.
Okay, having received a second, the minutes are approved from December. Next is move on to the board secretary review and approval, and the financial report afterwards.
So this is a great one. I'll take this and then lead right into it so that way we can get a vote, Keith, on, as you all know, Joanne Org was our secretary of the board. And of course, she was retired from the board as far as her service period. So we actually went out and campaigned for a new secretary, and T. Gonzalez stepped up and said he would do it. So I'm so appreciative of T taking on this new role as the secretary. So we would need, everybody knows T. Gonzalez. He is the director of the Safe Equity with the Louisville Public Health and Wellness. And I don't think I see him on here today. I don't think he's in attendance today. But we will need a vote in order for him to become our secretary of the board. So I'll turn it over to you, Keith.
Okay, is there any more discussion in and around his more specific background and how he was potentially selected for this position? I don't know if there's any other questions from the team about this appointment before we take a vote. Okay, having heard none, then we will take a vote on nominating or appointing a new secretary. All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Having heard none, the motion is approved. So Mr. Gonzalez is now the new board secretary. If there's no other issues around that specific item, we can move on to the financial report.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. Hopefully you had a chance to review your package. Just wanted to keep in mind that we are still doing a point in time report. We are also still working with OMB to get a customized report of the spend summary for the board. Currently, what RCS is utilizing, we're utilizing a report that's called 376. It's a budget and actual by call centers. And in that packet, when you all review it, there is the first column is the call center, which is something we would look at as like the program name in the budget. You have your original original budget and then amended budgets. Only problem here right now where we're finding we cannot report out on the grant budget. It's really just providing us with general fund numbers right now. So when you see that 16.3 million, that is 16.3 million of general funds. The other funding, which is our grant funds, there's another report that we will have to run to identify that. But one thing we are able to get out of this report 376 is the true expenditures for the fiscal year. So as of February 7, 2023, just a point in time, I can confirm that RCS has expended $19.8 million total. That is a combination of general funds and grant funds. But again, I just want to stress to everyone, we're still working with OMB, which is our financial agency, to customize a report. There are individual reports that you can see grants that we have and the expenditures for those grants, but we don't have an accumulative report of everything that really just shows you the full budgetary numbers. We do have the expenditures there. And that's why you will see the budget remaining is a negative 11.4 million because you don't have that budget for grants in there. Again, it's a point in time. I did want to at least point out some of the expenditures we had expended for the fiscal year. And I will continue, and Director Laird is continuing to work with the Director of Finance to get a customized report so it can be more efficient for you all to review. And you can have checks and balance to tie back those numbers. Does anyone have any questions for me? Well, thank you all. It's great seeing everyone.
You're on mute. I can't hear you, Keith.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the programmatic reports and updates on senior nutrition. Led by Marvita.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right. The senior nutrition program.
Marvita, we
eligible-
can't, hold on one second. Still can't see it. Did you share your screen?
Oh, it's not showing up. Okay.
It's okay. I can take it. Let me do it real quick for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. The senior nutrition program has 3 eligibility requirements. One, clients must be 60 years or older to receive meals. There's no income guidelines, and our target populations are low income and low income minorities. Our funding is through the Federal Older Americans Act, which was determined by the Department of Health and Human Services. We get additional funds from state and metropolitan government, which is our general funds. Seniors and others within the community who choose to donate to the program. Some of our donations come from family members or loved ones of individuals who are no longer with us, but received a benefit from our program. So we receive those donations. And most importantly, there's no cost for the senior meals. We do ask for the seniors to have an opportunity to donate, but it is not a requirement. The type of programs offered are our congregate.
Marvita, could you let me know when to go to the next slide? You know, I won't know unless you tell me.
Okay, I'll slow down. Slide 4, please. So the types of programs that we offer are our congregate, which is known as our C1, and our home delivery, which is known as our C2. And this is C1, C2 of the Title III C contract. Programs, Title C3. And so with our congregate meals, that is giving seniors an opportunity to come together, socialize, have a healthy lunch. They do activities at most of our sites. And then with our home delivered, that is our deliveries through Meals on Wheels, where we deliver meals in the community to individuals who have barriers and health risks that prevent them from coming out and enjoying their meals at one of our congregate sites. So in the next slide, in more details, with our congregate services, the meals are served in a nutrition site or our senior centers. And I know for sure we have a senior center in Fern Creek. We also have opportunities for socialization. One thing we found that has been a good thing for seniors is being able to get out and get some exercise. So the socialization piece of the program is highly important. They have games, activities, and nutrition education. Once a month, we send out nutrition education pamphlets to kind of give seniors some healthy tips that they can use at home and going forward. It offers them ways of doing things like chair exercising. It gives them menu items that they can recreate at home, different things like that. And with our home delivered services, and as I stated earlier, it's also known as Meals on Wheels. The meals are delivered to the seniors' homes. So one new thing that occurred with this current fiscal year is our main funding source, which is KIPTA. They have taken on the responsibility of assessing the home delivered clients. So they're the ones that go out now into the homes or make those home visits over the phone, and rather than our site, because the way that we're growing, it's really it's beneficial to have those outbound services. Also with our home delivered services, the clients need to have, they should have a need for assistance in preparing meals. And this just means sometimes they don't have individuals who are with them that can help them prepare a meal, and that makes them qualified for the home delivered program. Next slide, please. So with our congregate services, basically anyone who is age 60 and over qualifies. There's nothing else that makes them eligible. We have gone to a new system with KIPTA, and in this new system, we perform some assessments on our seniors, and it kind of gives some individuals who may have not qualified for home delivery, it gives them an opportunity to become eligible for that service based upon certain criteria that is met when we do the assessments. So basically with our congregate services, they complete the assessment and that enrolls them in the program. And then after that, all the senior has to do is make a reservation at least one day in advance, and they're able to go to the nutrition site and have meals. Our eligibility, next slide, please. Our eligibility for C2 is the same with the age, anyone 60 and over who needs help with tasks in their home. There could be no one else, as I stated before, that is in a home that's capable to prepare a meal. That determines the need. And they must be certified by a KIPTA case manager. So previously, prior to fiscal year 23, our facility, our agency was doing the assessments for eligibility. And so now that that's outsourced out, we rely upon KIPTA to then give us those individuals who have applied as referrals. And all that started July 1st, 2022. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to kind of touch on things that occurred during COVID. Prior to COVID, one main thing that was different was with the meals that were daily, they were hot meals. And these meals came and the staff in our sites would then package them up for home delivery and then serve the congregate individuals. Now that COVID has occurred, that process is no longer active. Prior to COVID, we had 19 nutrition sites, and one of the main rules was all meals must be consumed at the nutrition site. And then the deliveries, there were only around 36 routes prior to COVID. And you'll see on the next slide how COVID-19 occurred. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. Can you go back a slide, please, Tim? Oh, yes, thank you. So during COVID, there was a process started of frozen meals, and they were given out once a week at one of the 5 distribution sites. Within these boxes, there contained 5 different meals for Monday through Friday, just to kind of give everyone the same thing they would have gotten prior to COVID. Hot, they now have the capability of heating it themselves. What we did, we also opened this up for our C1 clients as well, so that they would be able to have the meals. So things were really different. And I can say for myself, I started at the end of this period. So I've got to witness how we've transitioned from pre-COVID to COVID, and now we're in post-COVID. So all the deliveries went out to the individuals who needed. So individuals who did not have any family members or friends who could come to one of our 5 distribution sites to pick up meals, they were delivered to, just like a regular home delivered client. During this period of COVID, our program increased its participation by 27%. And that is a large number because we were taking care of individuals that we never probably would have had the opportunity to become involved with had COVID not occurred and the need for individuals to stay home was present. Next slide, please. So you can see how during this period, I wanted to kind of capture some information from the whole aspect of post-COVID. During our fiscal year 22, and going into now, we've served almost 400,000 seniors in this community meals. Served meals, almost 400,000 meals to seniors in our community. We've assisted 3,131 individuals. These are large numbers. When I was just looking at the information prior to COVID, these numbers probably wouldn't have been done, but maybe in 3 years. So the amount that we've done in the last 18 months is really showing that senior nutrition is on the move. And one thing we did find out is out of our seniors, approximately 65% of them live alone. So that really shows there's a need for some assistance in the homes. And the home delivered meals have been a blessing to many. Next slide, please. So now that we are in a state called post-COVID, um, we have learned that some of the things that were implemented during the COVID period of time were good for us to continue using. One of the first things is that we still have the 5-day frozen meal box that is delivered to our homebound individuals. And what happened when we first started reopening our sites is our caterer provided us with chilled meals. So our seniors were gradually brought back into the way of doing things. And with these chilled meals, they contain things like sub sandwiches. They had grilled chicken salads. We had regular chicken salads. We had all kinds of different sandwiches, not your regular box lunch. It was very good and inviting, especially because we started reopening June 30th. So that was in the height of the summer era. So they were really good things. But as it started to get cold, our seniors were saying that they wanted to have more heated meals. So our caterer came up with an idea of still providing frozen meals, but then they also provided us with some more up-to-date warming ovens where we can now serve hot meals in our facility. So it's been working out well because the menu is grown. At the congregate sites, because COVID is still a prevalent issue in our community, the seniors are not required to actually stay and eat their meals. If they do not feel comfortable or feel safe eating around others, they are allowed to take their meals to go. And that's a big thing from pre-COVID. We now have 16 sites. Out of those 16 meal sites, 3 of them are our sub-recipients. And as stated before, KIPTA completes our C2 assessments. So they're doing the home delivered assessments, but now we are doing the C1. We're taking care of the enrollment of our congregates. One of the big changes with KIPTA taking over the C2 assessments is now we receive all of our referrals from KIPTA. Once we receive a referral, we have 10 business days in order to get that individual started for meal service. As I had said earlier, we had around 36 routes prior to COVID. Now, post-COVID, we have 92 routes for seniors that are homebound that we have to deliver to in the community. And we're also having less volunteers. I added in a couple things, slides. The next slide has in areas that are considered food deserts, just to show where the need is most. And on your papers, you could see that the Shively area, the West End, Shawnee, these areas are considered food deserts. And for us, it was very important to reopen one of our sites, which was our Shawnee Community Center. I'm so excited about it being reopened because we are able to get in there where the need is most prevalent in the community and provide a service to those individuals. We're also getting a lot of referrals from KIPTA that are around in this area, making it one of our largest sites that have home delivered routes. Next slide, please. Once again, it's one thing to tell you about the numbers, but it's a better thing to let you see for yourself the numbers and how things have risen. Our service met its height in the middle of COVID in fiscal year 22. And it's gone down a little bit, and that's because that with our congregates, they were in COVID era, they were receiving their meals 5 days a week, as I explained earlier, just like our home delivered. once we had to start reopening sites, more people are not feeling as comfortable as they once felt coming out and going into the congregate sites. And then also there's been some, with the changes of responsibility going to KIPTA, there's also been a new process with our programming. So we are in a different system. Prior to COVID, we had one system that we were working in. And so now with this new system that's being transitioned in, we're not able to capture information as well as we would like. And we're hoping by the end of this fiscal year, all the bugs will be out and we'll be able to provide that information. Next slide, please. Some of the outcomes that came from COVID-19 was one of the things that I mentioned about feeling safe to eat and consume meals at the congregate sites. That's one of the things that came out of that. We still are under this expectation that if a client doesn't feel comfortable eating in the site, they may take their meals to go. Sites now, they have been open 2 to 5 days a week. Prior to COVID, they were open 5 days a week, except for maybe 1 or 2. The home delivered client participation is still rising. At the beginning of this fiscal year, we had about 863 individuals. Now we're at a little over 1,000 home delivered clients. So we are really moving with that. Our assessments have changed, and we've finally come to the realization that it's very important for us to reduce the hunger in the community and address the food insecurity and malnutrition of our seniors and promote socialization, health, and well-being. Our seniors need to know that we love them, we care about them, and we want them here for a longer period of time. Next slide, please. And this slide is just some more census data, just showing different areas where need exists. And I'm glad to say that we are present in each one of these areas, providing meals to our seniors that live in these communities. Next slide, please. So this is just giving you a visual of some of the things that I talked about and giving you the numbers to go along with it. Prior to COVID, we had about 215 home delivered volunteers. Currently now we're working with around 76. So as you can see, we have less volunteers, more individuals that we serve, and more routes that we are going to. So that's something that's an issue for us, is making sure that we have enough people in place to be able to serve all of our seniors in the community that need this assistance. Our volunteer hours have gone down because we're no longer taking meals to our clients' homes daily, but now we are doing it, as in COVID times, weekly. So they get 1 day a week, 5 meals. Our congregate clients pre-COVID, we had about 1,470, and currently now we have about 1,616, and that's still growing. And prior to COVID, we had 771 home delivered clients, whereas now we have 1,237. As I stated, it's still growing. Next slide, please. Just showing again, just a different way of where the most need is and where we're serving individuals most. And if you compare them to the other, the previous slides, the beforehand, you'll see where the need is and where we are. And we are right on target for what we need to be doing in order to remain in compliance with the program. Next slide. So the ask for us that I have is, how can we obtain more volunteers to ensure participants receive service in a timely fashion? And that's my question. And the floor is now open for any of your questions.
I had a quick question. I saw the data around the food deserts was in the 2019 timeframe. Do you know, is there any more updated or recent data in and around that slide?
I
That
can,
is the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Erin.
oh, sorry, Marvita, if you want me to address that, I certainly can. Um, that that's data directly from the USDA, and they do not have any more recent data. They have stipulated what their criteria is, so there's some other sources out there that have come up with their own to show similar data. This was in the best format for our visualization purposes, but that's something that we can, look to building into our dashboards as well.
Okay, thank you.
I had a
And
question.
also, wait a minute, 1 second, let me add on to that,
Okay.
that answer. We also have Dare to Care. Dare to Care did a recent overall survey and assessment of the need in our community. So we'll share that with you. They actually did an actual forum where they released the actual data. They work with the Greater Louisville Project on evaluating and assessing the need in our community around food insecurity. So that's some really relevant information, and it's actually up to date.
Okay, thank you.
My question was around, you mentioned that the referral comes into the KIPTA now, and then once they do the assessment, and then you have 10 days from that time to start delivering the food. What's the time frame from referral to them completing the assessment? So how, once someone's identified, and I guess what do they basically call in a request, what's the time frame till they actually start getting the meals?
So the actual time frame lies in the hands of KIPTA. As I stated, we're going through a new system. So KIPTA is currently working out of 2 systems, as well as we're working out of 2 systems. So we may get the referral this month, and they'll probably end up on our routes to be delivered within, I say, about 3 to 4 weeks. So the process is really getting better. When we first started the process in July, the process wasn't as fast, but we're learning. We're all getting more people to work to address those concerns. That was a concern, and it's getting a lot better. I would say now we're getting referrals every 2 weeks. So by the time we get individuals from the previous batch of referrals onto routes, we're getting in a new, another route. And I mean, we've gotten in probably, I want to say it ranges from 35 to 50 individuals every 2 weeks.
Marcus, you have a question? You have your hand up. You probably have to take yourself off of mute.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
so sorry. This thing here, I'm so sorry. It may sound windy in the background. I'm outside. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm so sorry. So my question was, out of those, I'm going to answer your question, the question that you had for us, but I just wanted to know this information before I ask it. Are you connected with ElderServe as one of those sites?
I'm sorry, you broke up just a little bit.
are you connected with Elder Serve as one of the nutritional sites?
Um, Elder Serve was once one of our nutritional sites, but when they went on a break during that period of time, we were under a contract period. So now our contract with KIPTA is only to include the sites that were open prior to June 30th, 22. So Elder Serve was not open at that time, but we are open for our next fiscal year. So hopefully some conversations can occur.
And then also, Marcus, let me add on to that, is that you know that Elder Serve has just identified a new director, which is Pastor Tim Finley. So we're hoping we're going to see a lot of progress in this next year around that and the reopening of Elder Serve. So that should bring back the services within within West Louisville, and then also a further partnership with KIPTA.
Agreed, and that was just one of the things I was wondering. Now that it's opened back up, hopefully there is a connection that, especially for residents that live in West Louisville, where we see disparities as mentioned through data and conversation. So, and then possibly a process or a pipeline for actual volunteers. That's what the answer to your question was hopefully maybe the staff or some type of stakeholders that are connected, and maybe that can be a conversation with you and Pastor Tim as a new director of Elder Serve, where that can, be possibly fruitful.
I agree, Marcus. We're looking forward to the opportunity to get in front of Pastor Finley to talk to him about their overall resources and service. We don't know yet exactly what their service delivery will be. So we know that it's going to be focused on older adults around their adult daycare, but we don't know the expansion of those services. So that's one thing that we know that we have to be able to sit down and have a conversation about.
Thank you.
Megan Hancock had a question also.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. So I did want to expand upon what Marcus was saying and understand kind of what was the current activities to attract volunteers, and then what's worked in the past, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and then what types of activities do the volunteers need to do. So if you could explain a little bit more about what you're looking for. Are you looking for drivers? Are you looking for food prep? Are you looking for someone to, assess the paperwork? If you can give us a little bit more information from there.
Sure. Our most need is for drivers, individuals who would be willing to take on routes in different areas out of Jefferson County, Louisville. They would just need to go to our website under RCS. We have the senior nutrition program, and then we have volunteer opportunities. There's no assessments or anything that's required. It's just a willing individual who wants to help seniors in our community. That's all we need. We ask them to deliver to a route that contains no more than 12 individuals, and we keep those contained into specific areas, so that way our drivers are not out more than 2 hours. So it's just volunteering 2 hours of your time per week. And the reason for that is that we are growing rapidly. As I stated before, we're getting about 35 to 50 referrals every 2 weeks that we must put on routes. So we are really, we have the greatest need in the West End and the Shively area. And then we also have some need in some areas that's kind of farther out. And when I say farther out, it's outside the boundaries that our subrecipients like South Louisville and Southwest community centers can address. So we have little areas out there that just needs more individuals willing to drive and deliver meals to our seniors there.
Okay. And what types of activities have you done in the past that has worked or hasn't worked. For instance, when you do the delivery of the meals, is there some type of paperwork that promotes to their neighbors that you're looking for drivers and, here's how to go to our website, et cetera? Like, how do you get the word out that you're looking for volunteers?
So we post on our social media, and then we also post in areas in our senior nutrition facilities and other areas that we go into. We place flyers up, just saying that we're seeking volunteers. We are currently looking at going to some churches and getting some volunteers that way as well. And then mostly
Okay.
our volunteers come from word of mouth. Others who volunteer, they refer the opportunity to their peers and family members.
So do
Okay.
the volunteers receive mileage for the delivering the meals? Is that something that's included, or is that unreimbursed expense?
Currently is not reimbursable. It's just a donation of your time.
Marvita,
Right.
did I
Right
seem
off.
like I recall you talking about Fern Creek is one of your areas of opportunity?
Actually, Fern Creek, there are some opportunities for volunteers in that area. Yes.
Okay, I live near that area, so I was just curious. I'll look into the online system and see how we might be able to support.
And that will be wonderful.
And then also after this meeting, we'll send the link to the actual volunteers website so you all can actually see the other requirements and then the attached form that you can fill out if you the application if you want to become a volunteer. And then also you can share it with others as well.
If there are any flyers, could you also send those out and we can post those in several locations?
Absolutely, we can do that.
Are there
So-
any more questions? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, if I could just ask, Tamika, I almost feel like it might be beneficial post this meeting to have a short little think tank, an hour long or something, and just put down a whole bunch of ideas from how do you get the word out to generate more traffic for volunteers? And just, throw some ideas out there, and then, maybe, a smaller group then picks the top 3 and then attempts them or something.
I think that's great. Right now, we'll try anything. I tell you, Megan. So ideals, we're looking for ideas on how we can recruit. We've done social media. We also have a radio station that we do twice a week. Every 2 weeks, and it's with WLLV. So we're doing everything we possibly can to get the word out on our services, but also on volunteers that we need. A lot of this has went away, has decreased due to COVID. And so our seniors just don't feel as comfortable as they used to, because a lot of our overall volunteers were seniors who just wanted something to do.
Yeah. Okay.
All righty. If there are no more questions or comments around that topic, we can move on to the dashboard demo with Aaron Moss.
Hello, I'm Erin Moss, and I've been on some of these calls before, but for some of you who don't know who I am, I'm the junior data analyst for RCS. Prior to that, which I've been in that position for about a year now, I was formerly with Neighborhood Place as the administrative coordinator. So I will jump right in and start showing my screen here in my dashboard, which I'm very nerve-sighted for everybody to see. This is my digital baby that I've been working with for several months now. So I'll kind of go over it, but please feel free to jump in if I am speaking too quickly, or if I say something that doesn't really make sense, you want me to stop and go back and show you something again, because this is an interactive tool. So here it is. And this is the landing page, the main RCS page, which is really just supposed to be an overview of the agency and our performance, our clients and our funding, a little bit about all the functional areas that we're working in. So up here at the top, we've got a filter in. This is something new that we've put in order to give it a time dimensional function, because as this continues to grow and we move forward, we want you to be able to look at the data, slice it the way you would prefer to, in order to gather the information that you're looking for. So this drop down right here lets you select a specific period, but you can also enter in a custom time period. If you do custom, it'll allow you to type it in this box to the right. So far, we only have data from FY22 and halfway through FY23. We have on here, there's not a lot of interaction on the very first page, but if you can see, let me click on that again. Our numbers do change for our households and the individuals we're serving, our demographics. When I select a different period, we have our funding sources listed as well. Those are tied to our expenditures. And as Juan mentioned earlier, we're working with OMB to get the reports that we need in order to build FY23 into our transition began in FY23 to our new system. So that's something that will incorporate a dynamic aspect too. When you put in the date period, you'll be able to see the funding that we've expended for that period as well. Down at the bottom, we have a little bit about the functional areas and some highlights of the services we provided for each of those. We have an opportunity there to add some more layers to this with the timeline, the time slicer at the top as well. So as we go forward, these numbers currently are reflecting FY22. We'll be able to update them to show for the time period selected. I want to show this one in here, and it might make my screen change. Are you still able to see this dashboard? It switched page. Okay. So,
Yes.
so I'll go back here for a second. I clicked on this link. This is for our ERAP dashboard, which was the first dashboard that we actually had. It was sort of our prototype. The reason being that we had a lot of reporting that was associated with this program, and the reporting functions are built into the background. So this allowed us to track what we were spending, how fast we were spending it. We have some tabs here that showed us what our budget was for our 3 different funding sources, and we could filter it by each quarter to match our reports. It's very, I feel like it's clunky in comparison to the RCS dashboard, just because it is the first one that we made, and it was really feeling out the functionalities of the platform, which I probably should mention. This is built using Power BI. It's a Microsoft business intelligence tool that helps you visualize large data and provide a relationship between your different sources, which is one of the problems we've had over the years. We have different programs using different sources of data, and how do we bring it together? We've actually just recently had a success where our senior nutrition clients, which Marvita just talked about, and our clients in our other programs that are mostly served through Castanet, our primary system, we've been able to identify the overlap between the two. Before we couldn't report our entire our unique clients served because we knew that we were probably serving some in both the senior nutrition serve tracker system as well as in Castanet. But using some formulas with their personal information, we were able to identify where that overlap is. So up here where it says 59,000 individuals served, that includes all of the senior nutrition clients as well as our Castanet clients. We also have here, I'll show you our LIHEAP dashboard. This was the second one that we came up with. We get by far our most questions that come in from clients and from the public wanting to know about LIHEAP and what we're doing there. So this was put together shortly after the ERAP dashboard to help us track what we're spending and to whom with LIHEAP. There's some more pages behind it that are not public. They're just sort of functional pages that can give us reporting answers. But on here we have some interaction. We can, if we want to just look at who's been served through Bridges of Hope, Neighborhood Place, LIHEAP, or if we wanted to look at, you know, subsidy or crisis for a particular season, we can slice the data by putting in these filters. And then same with our zip code information. Here, I'll go back to our Prime page here. Okay. And then down at the bottom, these are all built, or 4 of these here are built within our RCS dashboard just to cover the functional areas. So for financial empowerment, it takes us to a page where we can drill down into more detail about their programs and clients. You can see we have some information about the Accelerate Savings Program. And because they recently opened the Financial Empowerment Center, we're just starting to build up the data that's coming out of there. That's from another source as well. So they've served through this half of the fiscal year, 343 clients at the Financial Empowerment Center. And as they grow that, we can do more analysis with the information that they're capturing. Go back. So for many of our programs, we have some overlap in the type of benefits that we're providing to households, and we decided to break that down on this page by the benefit type. So we have utility assistance that we provide that isn't from LIHEAP, and if you select that on the top here, it'll show you the map where we're serving folks, but also the funding sources that are associated with that. And these boxes over here, we call these cards, will reflect the updates to show the households and the programs associated with that type of benefit. We do have our senior nutrition meals added in. That was the new addition, as I mentioned. One of the things that we come up with, the different sources of data, is we're capturing different things in each system. With senior nutrition, they don't identify individual households. They identify individual clients, but there could be 2 clients within the same household. So we're not able to count the households that are served, but we are able to see the individual clients. And as you can see in this map, they have clients that are outside of Jefferson County due to how their system is set up. So unselect that, it takes us back to all of the different types of assistance. Um, another thing that I added in, which I felt is a new thing for us as well, showing not only the financial assistance that we're providing, but case management, because we do have over 2,000 clients that were served who did not receive a financial incentive, but they were able to really get some more wraparound services through speaking with their social workers, and we're able to track that as well. We have the link to the LIHEAP page on here as well, just because the LIHEAP does take up such a large portion of the dollars that are spent for household stability, so that people can get more information on that from this page. Now, one thing you don't see on that page was rent assistance, and that's because we have it under a different page, which let me exit out of here to make sure I can get to that. So rent assistance, particularly since COVID has exploded, with our eviction prevention programs. And so we wanted to break this out a little bit differently. With the household stability programs on the previous page we just showed, we were breaking it out by the type of benefit that they were receiving. In this case, we wanted to show more of the different types of programs that we have available. So housing stabilization is something that we've recently began doing, and that's for more of a long-term self-sufficiency for households if they can commit to case management. If we click on any of these program types, you get the definition that the program managers provided in the box here, and we'd like to be able to use that tool to add more detail as we move forward to show the funding sources associated with that as well. And you can really see, you know, with our permanent supportive housing, which is, I'm sorry, we have permanent housing, permanent supportive housing, and rapid rehousing. The areas where we're really targeting. And then eviction prevention was primarily during COVID, but we wanted to include that as well because that is so many households. All right, and let me go back. Oh, and I'm sorry. I missed one more thing I wanted to show on that page. So we do also have a link here that takes us to our eviction data, which is part of our ERAP dashboard. This is data that we get from the administrative offices of the courts to show us the evictions that are happening in Jefferson County. And we've been tracking this as our KPI and also to help us target where we need to be focusing our eviction prevention programs. We can tell that in most cases across Jefferson County, the eviction rates that we're currently seeing are about half of what they were prior to COVID. So a lot of the work that we've been doing has addressed problems that were pre-existing. The number that I have here, the eviction rate, there's an explanation for how that's calculated in this box here because it is a little bit different than what we might see you hear about, you know, Jefferson County has eviction rates of 9% or, you know, up that high. The way that we calculated it was based specifically off of the eviction warrants issued because we have a little bit of concerns about counting just any forcible detainer that's been filed. Landlords can file multiple detainers and they don't necessarily result in an eviction. So we felt that this was more data that gave us more confidence. Go back. We have
And
some.
you have 2 more minutes.
Okay, so I'll be quick. We also have just some pages in here that show for our reporting for CSBG and our MPIs. We can take a look at the different types of services and the MPIs associated there, what households we're serving, how many people are fully enrolled, and how many people have achieved those goals. And we have our outreach, advocacy, and volunteerism page. This is something that we're building out a little more too. We have another data source where we can enter in information about the events that RCS participates in. And this will tell us, what the attendance is, what kind of a partner was involved, partner organization, and what office does it fall under. And then forthcoming, we have our homeless to house data, which is something that we're working to build out. We have a partnership with family health centers that will allow us to track who's currently in the pipeline waiting for housing assistance. And I think we could jump right into questions.
I had a question.
Yes.
Is this accessible to the public, this data?
So it will be very shortly. We have a few steps that we need to go through with our data governance board in order to get this published onto our page. We have already had a preliminary review of this dashboard, which checked out to be good. Things that they're looking for, just making sure there's no personal information that could be accessed by the public, for our clients. And then just because there's some links on here to additional dashboards and the homeless to house, we were still working on our sharing agreement with that. But very soon we'll be able to have this published on our RCS page.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
More computer problems. Yes, I was just stating that Tamika's got a quite heavy load to disseminate here in a short period of time. So if there are any other questions, maybe we can take them offline so Tamika can get to her agenda. Thank you for your report, by the way.
So we are so excited about this, about the data governance piece. It's one that's been birthing from a baby, infant to now. And that's the reason why I wanted to share it with you all. Erin has done an extraordinary job of really pulling it together and capturing the impact that we're having on this community. We want to move forward and make sure this agency can be more transparent with our community, but also with our board, and then also with the mayor's office, mayor's administration. So we're moving in that direction, and soon it'll be published for everyone to actually interact with, ask questions, and then hopefully what we want to do is make sure that we can be able to do a deeper dive in the future. So all these things are just building blocks for us. So those are exciting times, and we're going to need your help to identify other areas in which we should actually be able to do some in-depth overall research or just statistical data. So thank you. Getting into the director's report. We have a lot going on, but I know we only have, we're supposed to adjourn at 1:30. So I want to make sure that we can get through these very quickly, and then we'll spend some more time on them at the next board meeting around the employee engagement. Around the community action engagement plan. So let me share my screen real quick. I'm going to try to do a quick overview because I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Teeters to talk about one of the actual overall goals that we're going to need your help and support on, including everything on here, but one in particular that we're going to start with. So let me share my content real quick. Okay, so as you all know, and we actually presented on this, excuse me. We presented on the board engagement plan around, it's probably been about 2 years ago, I feel like. It's been a long time ago, when we first said that, how can we get our board more engaged? We know that this board is set up to be an advisory board, but we really weigh heavily on the experts in this room to provide us with overall recommendations and feedback and guidance for this agency as far as moving forward. So what can we do? One of the questions that we always ask ourselves is, what can we do to get our board more engaged, to be more interactive with our board, and to help make good decisions? So in the first phase, it was all about training for the board members, making sure they know what the community action agency, community action standards are, the motto. What does it mean? What's the history? So Sam has been doing a great job of phase one and working with board members that are new and getting them acclimated to the board process, but also to the community action agency and the history. The second phase is where we're focused on, and this is going to start April 1st to June 30th, where we're going to promote a deeper dive in understanding the board's role and increase opportunities to engage with RCS activities and programs. Samples of these initiatives is to facilitate site visits for board members to go to the neighborhood places. Some of you all are in the neighborhood place, but some of you all have not been. So this means that we need to give you an opportunity to take a field trip. I always liked field trips when I was in high school. So, in school. So I think this is a great opportunity to go on a field trip and really show you what our neighborhood places do. And then also involve the board in the next strategic plan. As you know, our strategic plan ends as of June 30th, 2023. So we're going to need you all to lead us to take us through as a great partner and a leader into the next strategic plan. So everyone will be invited and be a part of the overall process of how we're going to plan for the new strategic plan in the next 3 years. We're hoping by that time we'll have the mayor's overall goals and initiatives at that time, so that way it'll be incorporated in this agency's goals as well. Because as you know, we're a municipality first and foremost, and a community action agency secondly. Phase 3 will focus on, it's going to be from June 1st to September 30th. It would increase the board's visibility in the community and enhance the ability to engage in advocacy work on behalf of RCS and the clients. A sample of this initiative is board members will collaborate with other groups across Jefferson County to advocate for issues, plan programs, and ensure community needs are met. And some of those ways you can do this is through our homeless task force, which we have every quarter. Our LABC, which is a Louisville Asset Building Coalition. We would love for you all to be a member of that coalition. The second would be board members attend community events where critical issues impacting low-income community are discussed, such as community policing forum or food insecurity meetings, and report back to the board on these meetings. Phase 4 is in October to December 31st is where we're going to start working on that. These are all phases. We're going to develop and implement initiatives to engage stakeholders, specifically individuals low incomes. Samples of these initiatives is in collaboration with board members. The Outreach and Advocacy Division will develop and implement quarterly economic mobility forums, provide an opportunity for members of low income community to discuss their concerns and share ideas on how we can address these issues or disparities in our community. And then the fourth one is the sample of initiatives in the hopper. And I'm not going to go into those in details because they're in the hopper and they're going to come much later. So as I have just said or reiterated through this whole process, explaining very quickly what we're looking at as far as board engagement and giving you examples of where the board is going to, we want the board to be engaged. We want you all to be a full participant in RCS and be integrated and rooted in the work that we do. So I am now going to turn it over to Sarah Teeters to talk about the initiative that is supposed to happen October 1st, December 31st. So we'll be in a planning process so that way we can be able to roll it out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I know that was very quick. I'm trying to make sure it's quick so I can get you all out of here by 1:30. So I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Tamika. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. My name is Sarah Teeters. I'm the manager of our outreach and advocacy offices here at RCS. And to be very quick about it, as Tamika said, these are looking to start in the fall, probably around October, early November, before we get into the holiday season. These poverty forums are really trying to go into the community, into different areas, and get the discussion moving with our residents about different topics, things that are barriers to their overall success. One of the ways that we really want to do this is really utilizing a World Cafe method. I don't know if anybody's been to World Cafes before to get ideas and discussions going. We use this style of data collection for the Livable Cities initiative here in the city and had really great success with it a few years ago. As we know, a lot of times when you have listening sessions or public forums, they tend to maybe run off the rails a little bit when you don't always get the most constructive dialogue. So one of the things that these World Cafes do is really to bring in that opportunity for constructive dialogue and still be able to obtain qualitative data. We really are going to focus on some specific areas and domains yet to be determined. That's one of the things that we'll be planning for as the year goes. That each of these poverty forums will have a couple of different areas of focus. That could be housing, employment, transportation, childcare, different things like that. When we look for board engagement and the action steps, we will need table hosts for each of these. If we are looking to have each of these areas of focus, we'll have a table host where we can share ideas and come together and have good discussions at that table and then be able to move throughout the room. So we are looking for some table hosts, some panel speakers, people to be, you all who are out there working as well to give your experiences and be able to take that information. So the thing that I'm really looking for is to, if any of you all would be interested in helping to plan these, to get them rolling. If you'd be interested in either planning them, participating in them, being a table host, please reach out to me. I will put my information over in the chat. It's not going. I'm not sure why the chat isn't working, Tamika. So we can email that out.
We'll email it out, Sarah, with the rest of the stuff that we're supposed to send out around the
Sure.
seniors, volunteers. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. So, as I said, it is still early. We have not planned a whole lot. I am going to start looking at locations soon. As we know, things, public spaces, especially for large groups of individuals, tend to fill up fast. So I am going to start looking at spaces here soon. But in terms of planning the actual forums, I'm looking for all the help I can get. So please let me know if you would be interested. Any questions?
And I just want to
Awesome.
say, guys, gives us a great opportunity for you all to participate and then also be able to be an intricate part of the overall process and helping us to develop and get good feedback from the community around what do we need to do next in order to dispel the barriers and fill in the gaps that we're seeing around poverty. We need to figure out, we know what the root causes are, but we need really equitable solutions. So this is a great opportunity for us to all come together as a collective and be able to actually start working on this. We've already done great work in this community around all of the money that's flowing into the community, into these impoverished areas. But we also need to think about moving forward, next steps. What does that look like?
Thank you all.
All right, if no one has any questions or anything concerning the economic mobility forums, the next up is the strategic plan. Faith, you got 5 minutes. She on here?
Tamika, I am. I'm
Okay.
just trying to get my video to stay on. There we go. And I'm going to try to share my screen. And can you see the strategic plan?
They cannot, but I'll share my screen.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Something happened. Hold on. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is our strategic plan as of the end of January. Of note is that we have 41% completed of our 32 KPIs. And 13% of those KPIs are on track. In November, when I shared it with you, we only had 31% completed, but 22% on track. So that second column of on track has moved now into the completed arena. So we are ending this plan at the end of July, and I know all of our teams are working very hard to meet their goals. We just run into some hiccups in some areas, or there are several of our goals that are recurring goals. For instance, with the Homeless Services Division, they have a continuous goal that tracks whether or not that they are getting out to the locations in a timely manner as the ordinance states. So every time that achieve that rolls over, but it's never going to show completed because unfortunately, our encampments are never completely gone. Additionally, the other thing of note on this is in November, the number of goals, the percentage of goals not started was 16%. And our goals that were off track were 31%. So we've started some goals in our fourth category of not started. They're still not yet where we want them to be. And so they have moved into off track, but we have gotten started. When we created this plan just a little bit over a year ago, there were still some pieces that needed to be put into place. And and with the new administration, and as we moved through this post-COVID world, it's just taken longer than we expect. I think that happens with all of us in our goals. Tamika, if you would just, could we go to the last page? I just wanted to talk for a minute about our recognitions, projects, and initiatives. When you receive the strategic plan for each meeting, this is one of my favorite pages, that it shows you some other work, some related to the plan and some not, about what's going on in our department. In South Central Neighborhood Place is currently under renovation. They're hopeful that the renovations will be complete a little early. So we're hopeful to have a reopening celebration sometime in the spring. Mid-March would be wonderful. We've had an age-friendly plan going probably for 5 years or so here in the city. And they are now beginning to address wanting to integrate more dementia-friendly practices into the city's plan. So that work is ongoing with Sarah with the Outreach Division and Allie, who is in our Office for Aging and Disabled Citizens. The Office for Veterans. I attended this event in January, and it was so inspiring. There was a fairly new program that is now being, it's become part of the Veterans Organization, is to work with schools. It's called the Purple Star Award, and Bates Elementary School achieved this award in January. And it's helping the schools work with children of students who have families either that's in the military currently or had been. And so they've met their goals there. And you can see in that second picture that Aaron put on our screen here that they have achieved that goal. And it was just very inspiring to see the school really working with their students who have parents that are in the military. And then, of course, we all know it is tax time. And so the annual taxathon was held in January 27th and 28th. And I do hope if any of you know of people that would meet the income guidelines for VITA, that you would refer them to the VITA locations where they can get their taxes completed. by a certified volunteer who can complete their taxes, and it brings more money back into our community. So I just wanted to bring your attention, every time we do this plan, we update it monthly, and we talk about the recognitions, projects, and initiatives in our community. So I will turn it back over. If you have any questions, please let me know.
All righty, we've got 5 minutes left in the meeting. Tamika, did you have some other things you want to share? Go ahead.
I have one more thing, Keith. So the last thing on the list is to talk about the poll results. Sam sent out from last meeting that we talked about the as far as the CAP board meetings, whether they should be in person, hybrid, or WebEx. So we sent out a poll to everyone to talk about exactly what they would like as far as the voting, and they voted on it. So now I just wanted to share the results of the actual poll with you real quick, so that way we can discuss real quickly. And when I say real quickly, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. So here is the actual poll responses. So it looks like we put in person and WebEx. Oh, she forgot to do hybrid. That's interesting. Okay, but from the poll, it looks like majority decided on WebEx. So I do know that that when we discussed this, we thought about as far as convenience and accessibility for the members to be able to actually be here at the board meetings. And then we also talked about in person and what that would do as far as to change the overall environment and atmosphere to really be able to have in-person interaction. And also more detailed conversation, even though we're having it on here, but we thought it would just make a change to that. But the understanding is that everybody enjoys the WebEx and likes to move forward with that. Keith, I'll turn it over to you as far as the chairperson to add in, but these are the results.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate the data as well. But side note, I'm on a couple of other boards, and there is an extreme importance of some in-person interaction with the board members from an efficiency standpoint, from an output standpoint, and then the overall performance of the boards are much better when there is some routine in-person board meetings. So I don't know, so I understand the data, but I'm wondering, can we possibly designate, maybe 2 board meetings annually, and everyone will sort of have some foresight, every, say, March, there's an in-person board meeting, and then every October, there's one in-person board meeting, so that everyone can plan far and ahead of the timing and when those in-persons would happen. Just a suggestion, but again, high performance boards that meet in person usually have much better results.
So based off of that recommendation from the chairperson Hamilton, is that something that we could possibly agree on for this calendar year?
Yeah, and maybe we can do another poll about two in a calendar year, and then even poll what month of the year makes the most sense for the group, and then go from there. And then we'll sort of analyze that secondary data, and then go forward.
Absolutely.
I think if we could include that hybrid option in the next poll, that would be helpful.
Mhm.
Okay. We will be sending that out next week. We'll send out the poll next week with all these options. And then from there, everyone can vote. And then we'll, at the next board meeting, we'll discuss the actual overall results. And then Chairperson Hamilton can discuss with the board.
All righty, we have 1 minute left for any final comments, questions, concerns. If there are not any, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Did anybody give a motion? You gotta give a motion.
Yes.
I second.
I think Megan gave a motion. Any seconds? Any seconds?
I second it.
Okay.
Well, as
Alright.
always, thank you all.
Thank you. You guys have a good rest of the day. Good seeing you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.